Hello everyone and welcome back guys to more AOR. Today we're here for round 8 of the season and it takes us to the French Grand Prix. Now I've never actually done a proper league race here around the French Grand Prix circuit in AOR. When was it? Season 16. I was there for the race, and then for those of you guys that remember, I unfortunately got basically kicked out of the lobby as the race started, unfortunately. As you can see though, having a look at the standings after the 3 wins in the last 4 races, we're now up to 2nd overall in the standings, just a few points behind Humperdinck as we get ready for round 8 of the season. And as you can see, yeah, we're 12 points clear of Stewie, and then a further 28 ahead of Vulcan as well, just 7 back from Humperdinck. The aim tonight was to at least try and claw up that gap a little bit closer. Honestly, France isn't a track that I feel particularly confident at or anything like that, so I wasn't sure how well we get on here. I certainly wasn't expecting another win, even I should say, this time around. I just wanted to score good points, and if we could take a few more out of Humperdinck, I would certainly take that here tonight. But yeah, recently though, progress has been good in AOR. Like I said, 3 wins in the last 4 after a couple of annoying DNFs in the early stages of the season. It's been good to actually try and, I started to wonder after the first couple of rounds if I'd ever actually win in this series. Stewie, Humperdinck and myself are all so evenly matched recently. But yeah, hopefully tonight we can try and have another good race nonetheless. And it was actually looking like it was going to be an intermediate conditions race here today, or at least some rain on the circuit. So that was certainly going to spice things up as well. Potentially a bit of some changeable conditions in the Grand Prix. Always exciting to see in the world of Formula 1. But we are coming to the end of my warm-up lap. As you can see, just under a minute left on the clock at the moment as we come down in towards the final couple of corners of the lap here. Now we're just trying to get ourselves nicely into position there. I think we've got Vulcan just in front of us. I'm going to say that's Vulcan. I think that's Vulcan. And as we come through the final couple of corners, then getting everything geared up, and then it's lights out and away we go out of the final corner. Cycle right the way through the gears there, all the way up into 8th on the run down towards turn 1 there. You want to brake just after the first curve, and they're pretty much splat bang in the middle between the two there. Actually just not quite getting close to the apex on the inside, and actually getting a really terrible run through the first couple of corners there. You can see basically 2 tenths down on my PB there as we now come through sector 2. You can see trying to get the car slowed down, keep it nice and tidy through the corners there, dropping it down, running a little bit wide on the X there. You can get away with that around this circuit, and then trying to get the power down on to the back straight here. You can see we're still about 1/10.5 down there, but we have got some slipstream from my teammate Jamie183, and that's really going to help us out. As you can see, heading down this back straightaway, that's given us just over a 1/10 as we head in towards the next braking zone there. A little bit later on the brake zone, you see coming through, really trying to utilise the engine brake as best as possible there. And thanks to the slipstream as well, we were now basically neck and neck with my previous lap as we get ready for the 3rd and final sector here. Back up into 8th gear as you head through the long flowing right-hander there, and braking down just at the end of the curb in towards the next couple of corners. They're actually taking it down 1 gear too many halfway through there. It's going to help get the rotation, but really not quite the speed that we wanted there. And then in towards T12, you can see a really horrible corner to try and get right there. We do get an okay run through that time around there. Just 2 corners to go now, as you can see, trying to get the car slowed down into 3rd gear there, really trying to attack the curbs as late as possible there. And through the final corner we go there. We're going to get a horrible chunk of wheel spin out of the final corner there. Vulcan goes on to pole, and we unfortunately are 1/2 off there at the end of the running. And I was a little bit annoyed with that, to be honest. We've been setting consistent 29s in practice. Yeah, I was a little bit gutted that we just couldn't seem to get the lap together right when it mattered there. You can see X-Power, though, coming down towards the line as well, and he doesn't improve this time around. So it looks like it is going to be Vulcan ahead of myself there. X-Power, Humperdinck, Jamie, WR, Jinx, BOR, Hamilton, Stewie, Schweiz, Constant Ryan, Ben, Riley, Kez, and I'm Weasel to round out the order there at the end of the session. So, I mean, P2 is certainly something we can't be too disappointed with, ready for this French Grand Prix. But, I always like to get a pole position in the Formula 1 AOR leagues nonetheless. So, see, picking up some good XP at the end of the session. But yeah, like I said, it is Vulcan on pole by 1/2 there, ready for his home Grand Prix ahead of myself. At X-Power in P3 there, my main title rival Humperdinck in 4th, just 1,000th clear of my teammate Jamie183 at the end of the session there. Stewie not quite getting the qualifying. I'm sure he would have wanted, down in 6th ahead of both Toro Rossos. And then obviously, I can't remember who it was, in P9 and P10 there. But you can see we are then ready on the grid for this Grand Prix. And It's dry tyres, wet track. Yep, we've got one of those. It's a bit of a unicorn on the F1 games, but we have got one of those sessions here. It's going to be, very, very close to cool, but it is, looking like a dry tyres, slippery race circuit. Yeah, that is not quite what we would have wanted in this Grand Prix, but still certainly willing to give it a go. Nonetheless, it almost, it evens up the field a little bit more, but potentially it can create an even bigger divide than you normally get there. You see, making a couple of setup alterations ready for the Grand Prix. Up in the front wing, actually opening up the diff ever so slightly as well there, and trying to move back our front brake bias ever so slightly ready then for the start of this Grand Prix. And yeah, I think a couple of small setup changes are certainly going to be critical here, but we are then ready on the grid for the French Grand Prix. Round 8 of the season, we have won two races in a row, 3 of the last 4 here in AOR. Could we potentially make it 3 in a row? 27 laps here around this French Grand Prix circuit will certainly decide that here tonight. And as you can see, coming through the final couple of corners then of the formation lap here, really start to get a feeler for the circuit. Doing a couple of practice, almost launches, drop it down to sort of 20-30 miles an hour there and trying to floor it up. Build up some heat in the temps, build up some heat in the temps, build up some heat in the brakes and the tyres even, I should say, as we get ready for the launch there. And I'll be honest, I was very, very nervous about this one, especially, no line, everything like that. It could create some carnage at the start of this Grand Prix, but we'll just try and get a good run down into T1 and take it from there. Getting ready then on the grid. It's time for round 8, the French Grand Prix. The lights are coming on then. It is 5 lights here in Paul Ricard, and it is lights out and away we go. They're actually off to a fairly standard start there, because we did start to get a little bit of a run on Vulcan there and just not quite utilising the engine modes as we head down towards T1. They're going to try and get towards the apex through the first corner. You can see Vulcan running very, very deep through that first turn there, parks the car on the exit of the second corner though. We do get fairly decent traction on the exit, and as you can see, coming down in towards the next braking zone, just pinching the front outside wheel though. That means we're going to run a little bit deep on the way in there. Luckily that time around we didn't pick up some weird and wonderful 5-second time penalty or anything like that, unlike the cheat that is my teammate Jamie183. But we have survived the first sector of the race here. You can see Vulcan is already trying to make a bit of a breakaway here, so we do need to try and get back up towards him as we head out onto the back straightaway here, and actually trying to weave just to try and get a bit more heat into the tyres here. Really just trying to do absolutely anything we can as we get towards the halfway point of the Mistral straight here. You can see trying to get the car slowed down once again, and Vulcan just running a bit deep in towards the braking zone here. It's clearly struggling a little bit just to try and work out his new references, everything like that. It is so easy, as we saw from myself. Just, use your normal dry braking point there, and it really can cost you quite a lot of time as we now head through the next couple of corners here. Vulcan, that's a big tank slapper as we come down in towards Sector 3 there. See, he's actually going to get another big twitch there. He's going to go off the circuit. We're now going to move ourselves up into the lead of the French Grand Prix here. As we come into the next couple of corners, though, might not last for too long. On opposite lock right the way through T11 there. That was certainly a Tokyo drift as we came in towards the final couple of corners of the lap there. Just having to modulate the throttle, trying to keep the back end somewhat in check there. But we do survive the final couple of corners there, and we do lead the way at the end of the opening lap here of the French Grand Prix. So once again, trying to make the moves work, from being a bit poor on the 1 lap qualifying pace, we're trying to make the moves work up to the lead of the Grand Prix here. And now we need to try and make a bit of a gap from Vulcan over the next couple of laps here. Everyone just still struggling to work out what the grip levels are like here, and hopefully, we can try to use that to our advantage and really try to make a bit of a breakaway here. To the end of lap 2 though, Vulcan's actually made another mistake there. That's going to give Humperdinck V2 in this Grand Prix. We've got a 1.5 second lead there. The gap for Humperdinck was identical, both forwards and backwards there. You can see coming into T1 there, second guessing ourselves ever so slightly. In the pace, we were struggling a little bit at the start of this one. Humperdinck even, I should say, takes out a little bit of time there. BOR Hamilton, fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well. He was certainly looking very, very quick in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Considering, he started 8th on the grid, had very quickly adjusted to these new track conditions there. You can see coming towards the end of lap 5 though, we were slowly but surely settling down into a bit of a rhythm here around this French Grand Prix circuit. You can see a 1 minute 46.6 here, and you can see the field actually fairly spread out in the early stages because a couple of cars had actually tried to go into the set of the intermediate compound tyres there, and although there wasn't much of a difference, they certainly weren't as quick as the dries at the moment there. As we come through the final couple of corners of lap 7. They're actually going to dive it down into the pit lane there. I don't think you guys really wanted to see my pit lane entry. I may have got lost on the way down towards the pit lane here, but we do dive it in at the end of lap 7 there. The softs really weren't working out too well in the early stages of this Grand Prix. So we're going to go onto a set of the medium compound tyres here and really just see how far they can go in this race there. I think that Schweiz takes the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of X-Power there. Not too sure what happened to him off the start. LCR Ben jumps up into P3 as well, but hopefully over the next couple of laps we should be able to get past these guys there. To see Jamie as well up into P4 of this Grand Prix. And luckily we do come out in fairly clear air here, so we should be alright, but we have got Jamie just a couple of seconds up the road there. And these medium compound tyres pretty much instantly felt good around the circuit there, as there's contact, I think, between Hamilton and Humperdinck behind us there. That's not too sure what actually happened between the pair of them there, but I mean, it's given us a bit of a better advantage as we head through Sector 2 here. And luckily all of the cars in front of us have not pit just yet in this Grand Prix, but Hamilton had actually taken the gamble there onto a set of the intermediate compound, so we needed to watch for him over the next few laps, potentially taking some time out of us in this Grand Prix. And we also need to try and get past Jamie as quickly as possible here. I know he was probably going to be pitting on the end of this lap anyway, but still, we want to try and get into some clear air and really focus on our pace once again there. Stewie unfortunately retires from the Grand Prix. He actually dropped it on lap 1, and unfortunately after that just retired in the pit lane there, so not unfortunate for him at the end of the day there. You can see we've taken a good second out of Jamie in Sector 2 there. He's going to get quite a big wobble through the next couple of corners there, and right around the outside we go there. Once again, the ultimate Haas Dream Team coming into full effect as we head through the final couple of corners there. Jamie knows his place in this team as well there. It's down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 8. We had finally worked out the line through a turn 12 there, and it was just slow and steady and keep the rear end nice and in check as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of the lap there. You can see Ben trying to go out for yet another lap in this Grand Prix here. I think X-Power, no, Schweiz even, sorry, I should say, is going to dive it into the pit lane now, which means we are going to move back up into P3 of this Grand Prix there, as we actually go purple through the final sector of the lap as well. And that was a promising sign as we get ready for the long haul in this Grand Prix there. And you can see just a couple of laps later though, we had closed up the gap to Ben as well. You can see Hamilton had only dropped about 0.6 of a second though, so there was pretty much even between the inters and the dries at the moment there. When we do get past Ben, obviously on completely different strategies at the moment, there was no real point in trying to have a battle there. And Ben's very clever, he knows the game to play, everything like that. I mean, we're champions as a team as well. Ben and I obviously won the VGN Clio Cup as well. So, I mean, Ben and I potentially not quite teammates in AOR, but we've got some team chemistry there as we actually go on to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix just a couple of laps later as we retake the lead of the race from X-Power there. You can see Hamilton 7.8 back now. The track was starting to get a little bit drier once again, so it was really starting to work out in our favour once more this Grand Prix. It swung so many times over just the space of a couple of laps there, and you can see a couple of laps later there, we're now down to a 1 minute 45.4 there, and yeah, unfortunately for Hamilton, those intermediate tyres, they hadn't worked out too poorly for him, but they really just weren't working out in the long run there, as Humperdinck actually dives into the pit lane for his second stop of the day. And you can see the gap to Hamilton now up to 17 seconds. We pulled out a good 10 seconds over about 5 or 6 laps here, and we really did just settle down into a rhythm and just focus on our own race. We definitely, I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up and admit we had got lucky with the strategy. I really wasn't actually expecting these mediums to work out as well as they had in this Grand Prix, but not only was the pace really good on them, they also just seemed to last longer than I was even expecting as well. I was planning on going back to a set of softs around this point of the race, but the mediums were on like 30-35% wear. They just seem to go really well in this Grand Prix there. And you can see the gap to Schweiz now up to 21 seconds just behind us as well. As you can see, with just 7 laps to go of this Grand Prix. And yeah, all we needed to do between now and the end was really just try and keep it nice and tidy. As you can see though, the track was starting to dry out towards the end of the Grand Prix there. Unfortunately, Constant Ryan does retire from the race there as well there. And we actually set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 43.4. But at this stage of the day, it was the timing screens were just absolutely lit up constantly there as we come through the final couple of corners. 1 lap later, they can see we're green through the first couple of sectors there, and down towards the start-finish line, it's going to be a 1 minute 41.5, 2 seconds faster. And yeah, we don't get the fastest lap this time around. But on to the final lap, though, of this French Grand Prix we go. What a race it has been at the end of the day. We got the lead on lap 1, lost it a couple of times through, you know, alternate strategies and everything like that. But ultimately, we adapted to the conditions. I'm really, really happy with the race at the end of the day there. You know, we just built ourselves up an operating window and really never sort of looked back from it. You can see a 25-second advantage over Schweiz towards the end of the Grand Prix. We kept the tyres in check, we kept the fuel managed, you know, quite well. The ERS as well, this track can be quite notorious for it. But we, you know, sort of juggled it all quite nicely and, yeah, really did focus on our race at the end of the day there. Ben sets the fastest lap, Humperdinck goes 1.3 seconds clear. That was just what, towards the end of this Grand Prix, really was there. And obviously I wanted another piece of the pie. You know, there is obviously 1 point up for grabs as well here, so that you know, that could prove quite pivotal towards the end of the season. You never quite know in the world of Formula 1 there. But I mean, yeah, we basically had just under the Mistral straight advantage at the moment. So even if we did make a couple of small mistakes, everything like that, hopefully it wasn't going to be the end of the world as we head through the final few corners of this race. So like I said at the start, this was my first proper race here around the French Grand Prix circuit in AOR. And what a race it's been at the end of the day. Safe to say, after this one, I probably do enjoy the French Grand Prix circuit a little bit more than I did coming into it. But through the final couple of corners, though, of the Grand Prix, it is going to be 3 in a row in AOR. The championship lead in the drivers, the championship lead in the constructors as well there. What a day for Haas there. We set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. No, we don't even. It's the 39.5 at the end. There we go. Purple, sorry, through the final sector. But yeah, really, really happy with that one at the end of the day. There, Schweiz is going to come through for a fantastic P2 as well. GG's to him and X-Power at the end of the day. A fantastic job by both of those guys, as well as Ben. You know, all 3 of those guys, I should say, managed to master the one-stop as well there. I mean, we all kind of got lucky with it, but that is racing at the end of the day there. And yeah, Schweiz 27 seconds back when you take into account the penalties there. X-Power a further 6 behind him. What a race at the end of the day there. Really, really did enjoy that one there. Ben comes through in P4 ahead of Humperdinck. BOR Hamilton managed to pick up about 3,000 penalties in the Grand Prix. I'm really not too sure how he managed that at the end of the day there. I'm watching my teammate Jamie. He didn't quite make the strategy call that we had there. On the set of the Haas means he's going to come through the final couple of corners there for P8 at the end of the day there. But I mean, when we consider Ferrari were behind us in the championship, we pulled out a few more points over them. Renault, who were ahead, have only got Vulcan scoring points here today. And I mean, he's only going to take a 1 point and then the fastest lap as well at the end of the day. So yeah, a really decent result for Haas at the end of the day there. Jamie does get P7 in the end as well, thanks to all of Hamilton's penalties there. But P1 at the end of the French Grand Prix, really, really happy with that one there. That certainly gives us a firm stead as we head in through the next couple of rounds of the season. But Austria, you know, it's a track I enjoyed, but one that we might struggle at. And yeah, obviously the slipstream trains around there can be quite crazy at the end of the day. So, I mean, we'll take the wins when we can, but also expecting some more difficult races as well down the line as well. You know, a lot of these guys very, very quick. And today, like I said, I'll be honest, we did get quite lucky with it as well. We were, you know, sometimes adapting to the wet conditions can be quite difficult, and it just, you know, sort of, it was one of those days where we just seemed to get our eye in at the end of the day there. And yeah, really, really happy with that one in the end. But as you can see, having a look, and we gained some XP as well. We're up to level 20. Look at us, the absolute sweat on F1 2019. We are still the lowest level in the league there. But yeah, we do take the win ahead of Schweiz, X-Power, Ben, Humperdinck, Jinx scores his first points of the season there as well. Ahead of Jamie, Hamilton, Kez, Vulcan there with Constant, Ryan, Weasel, Riley and Stewie all not making it through to the end of the Grand Prix. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Do get yourself subscribed as well, obviously, if you're new around here and you do want to see more AOR action on the channel. We will be back next week out for round 9 of the season. It'll be ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. Can we potentially go 4 in a row? Only time will tell. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for another video.